Hi everyone, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So I've just finished studying economics and management at Sussex, and my talk's called Play with Education. I'm going to talk to you about how and why I think the education system needs reforming, and how we can use play to do it. So this topic's particularly of interest to me, as over the last few years I've been developing my own business. I've created an educational board game which I'm trying to take to market. And I'm really interested in finding out how we can bring interaction and engagement into the classroom, and how to keep students motivated for longer. Now, what do I mean by play? I'm not talking about video games here. I'm talking about real-life human interaction. I'm talking about working in groups, working in friends, and interacting with other people. I really do think that by bringing play into the classroom, students can learn without realizing it. Going through school, I used to get quite bored. I remember so clearly on a Monday afternoon having a double period which felt so far from the weekend and not being able to keep my eyes open. I'm sure some of you can relate to this feeling. Now, modern education faces the challenge of stimulating our interest and keeping us engaged for a long period of time. And I think that we have a few main teaching methods, and they don't currently achieve this. There are many main forms of teaching, most of which include one teacher with many students. Now, the risk here is of standardization. We're educating students in batches, and this is something known as a production line mentality, and I think that this should be avoided. One of the problems with the system is that creativity can become squandered. I believe that all students actually have a creative ability, but the system doesn't nurture it, and it also hinders our ability to be imaginative. We need to find a way to bring creativity and imagination back into the classroom. Another problem is that students become scared of being wrong. We've gone through school being told there's only one correct answer, when in fact there are many. This is something known as divergent thinking, and it means there are different ways of interpreting a question. It's essential for creativity, and the school system should nurture this. Another problem is demotivation. School can be a stressful experience. You have exams, you have tests, people can experience failure and lack of success and become demotivated. We need to find a way of keeping students motivated for longer periods of time and keeping them engaged. Now, the solution I propose is based in gamification. Now, gamification is the application of game dynamics to non-gaming situations. It takes the basic principles of play and uses them to make real-life activity more engaging. I believe that by bringing gamification into the classroom, we can keep students engaged for longer, we can hold their interest, and we can make them excited to learn. Now, there are two key advantages to gamification, the first of which is the progression dynamic. Now, I'm sure you've come across the progression dynamic before. For example, online when you're filling in your LinkedIn account and you have a progress bar that says 0 to 100%, or in shops when you have a loyalty card and you're trying to collect all the stamps so you can get your free coffee. These are examples of the progression dynamic, and I think by using these in games and applying them to the classroom, it can be really useful for us. Another key advantage is communal discovery. This is where people work together to aid discovery, and you learn from each other. We in fact remember only 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, and 30% of what we see, but an amazing 95% of what we teach to other people. Now, this shows us that there is a market for teaching each other in the classroom, and that we can improve engagement and interaction by teaching others. When we are playing games, we are curious, we are optimistic, we are determined, and we learn quickly from our mistakes. These are all important skills which we should bring into the classroom. We should allow students to try and fail and then try again, and use this as a learning experience to get better. An example I came across that interests me is Class Dojo. Now, Class Dojo is an online teaching tool. It's what teachers can use to control behavior in the classroom. It's used for more younger children, and students go home and create their own personal avatar. And the teachers reward students on certain behaviors which they like to see. For example, participating in class and being on time. Student gets points for things like this. There's a short feedback time which allows students to feel like they really play a role in the classroom, and it also involves their parents. So from a young age, students can really see what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are and how to improve on them. So by turning this feedback into a gamified process, students can make themselves better for the future. Another example is Brainscape. Now, Brainscape is basically really smart flashcards. They use something called adaptive algorithms and confidence-based repetition. And what this does is there's a system that identifies how confident you are with different topics, and the topics which you struggle with a bit more, it shows these more. So you're learning from the topics that are difficult, and you're not wasting time relearning things you already know. So overall, by turning flashcards into a game, you're helping studying become more efficient and engaging. Now, many modern forms of gamification are online, and they are successful. But I'm actually interested in moving in the opposite direction. I want to go back to basics, which is why I'm interested in board games. Remember the last time you really enjoyed playing a board game? It could have been with your friends, with your family on a family holiday. You spent hours around the table playing Monopoly or Scrabble. I think there are some key advantages to sitting around a tangible board. You can work with people who are directly opposite you. You can be taught from them. You can collaborate more easily. You can see who you're with. And these are all key strengths that we should bring into the classroom. And I believe that by taking games into the classroom, we really neatly combine our communal discovery, our progression dynamic, and being curious, and we bring it together. And I think that that's a good solution to the problems we encountered of low student engagement and interaction. Imagine a world where students are excited to learn, you get to play games in class, and society are smarter because of it. Let's focus together on building this world and have fun playing. Thank you.